Hello, my name is Kaisa McLean, and I am going to be walking through my PowerPoint on constructivism. And I got all this information from the videos and the readings done in this module. So the first slide, I know my picture is up in the corner, so you can't see all the words here, but the first question was, what is constructivism, and how was Vygotsky a constructivist? So constructivism is when people or children construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiencing things and reflecting on those experiences. So I put in my notes experience plus reflection on experiences. So it's very much so has to do with children's experiences with the world, what they learn from socializing or doing or playing with. Anything like that. I know it did talk about babies and how they already have this pre-built elementary knowledge, and then they start to develop more and more as they learn things by doing things. Vygotsky was a constructivist because he developed the socio-cultural theory of learning, and this was basically the same thing that students or even children learn by doing something and by socializing and their social interactions. He said that you do not learn how to develop, but you develop to learn. And there's three things in his theory that are the most important. It's the MKO, which is the kind of like the person leading, the expert, whether it's a teacher, whether it's one of your parents, a tutor, anything like that. PZD, which is the proximal zone of development, which means that students need to be in that proximal zone in order to develop. And it's the zone in between of maybe saying, I feel really comfortable with this and I know how to do it on my own, and I have no idea how to do this on my own. It's the zone in between that, whereas I need a little bit of guidance. If I have a little bit of guidance, I can figure this out and do it on my own. But without that guidance, I will sink, basically. And they did use an example of a child that can't swim. So if you throw a child in the pool and they have no idea how to do it, they're going to drown. But if you get in the pool with that child and slowly start teaching them and let them swim with you, then they will start to learn how to do it on their own. And then the last thing was language, and just how language is a crucial component of constructivism, because students, and I'm saying students just because that's what it applies for me as my students, but just any children or any person that is learning, language is crucial, whether it's speaking or picking up on social cues and socializing with others, collaborating with others. It's a very large component of sociocultural development. To what extent is your pedagogy/classroom practice constructivist? So I put this list based on I think it was the readings that I got this from. These were all the elements that kind of make up constructivism in a classroom. So the first thing was constructive. Do the students construct their own knowledge? Obviously, I give my students a lot of time to construct their own knowledge, but am I doing it 100% all the time? Probably not. Collaborative, this is one thing that I do a lot of. Students are always working in partners, or groups or small groups or assigned partners. So there's tons of peer collaboration. It is very rare that students in my classroom are working alone. Active learning, I think of hands-on learning. We do this in science primarily, but overall, I don't have a lot of active learning going on in my classroom. It's definitely something I want to improve on. Reflective, are students reflecting and growing from their learning experiences? We do a lot of goal setting in the classroom, and they have to reflect on, are they meeting their goal? And if they aren't meeting their goal, why? And I have student-led conferences where they basically lead the conference and reflect on what's going on in the classroom, and they tell me, and I take notes on it. So I do have one-on-one conferences a couple times per trimester to check in on their goals and see how we can reflect and build on those goals. Inquiry-based, I'm trying to move more towards inquiry-based learning to have students investigate topics, and what I want to do this more in is social studies. So I've done a few inquiry-based social studies projects where students are kind of leading the conversations, but I definitely need to grow in that sense. And the last thing is evolving. Student knowledge should not be seen as incorrect or insufficient. So I definitely try and always give my students positive feedback to what they're asking or what they're answering back, because I think perception is really important. And there are certain times when their perception is great. Maybe it's not mine, but it still makes sense and they're still using logic to find that. Lastly, after reflecting what revisions do I want to make to my classroom, the zone of proximal development, am I differentiating enough? It made me think of my small groups and how much more prep I need to do to make sure that I am differentiating each small group lesson to make sure that I'm helping those kids that need certain areas of learning and how to make those areas of learning different for them. I would love to do more hands-on. I've been trying to think about how I can do more hands-on learning, like in every single content area. Math, obviously, you can use manipulatives. I don't have a ton of those. Science is very hands-on, but it's more of like reading and writing. Like, how can I make reading and writing more hands-on, a fun experience for the kids? And also, how can I incorporate more inquiry-based projects around specifically social studies? Because I think that it would be really awesome for students to get to use inquiry around social studies units and have different perspectives on the units. So those are the main things that I would love to grow in, and hopefully over time I can do that. Thank you for listening to my presentation.